Hello, வணக்கம் தமிழ் மக்களே எப்படி இருக்கீங்க? This is RJ Venki with another episode of Southern Spice Tamil Radio in the USA. And today, again, I have another very interesting personality that we are interviewing. So, Southern Spice comes to you every week on Wednesday on Radio Zindagi, 1310 AM, Parsippany, New Jersey, 96.7 FM in Edison, and 540 AM in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut tri-state area, but it also comes to you online at Southern Spice USA channel in YouTube and RJ Venki channel on Facebook. So spread the word. And like I said, today we have a high schooler in the series of high schoolers, overachievers that we've been speaking with. Today we have Akshat, and Akshat thinks big. He has his biggest dream is to bridge the gaps in healthcare inequity in the United States. Akshat is passionate about raising awareness and promoting vital research in underserved communities. So he is bilingual, right? He can speak English and Spanish, and that allows him to create impactful campaigns that reach communities often affected by healthcare bias. So, without further ado, let us bring Akshat onto the screen. Hi, Akshat. Welcome to Southern Spice.
Hi, Venki. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. I'm very intrigued to hear about what you're doing. So describe yourself and tell us what you're doing and what your passion is all about.
Yeah, thank you so much. And the pleasure is mine. My name is Akshat Krishna, and for as long as I can remember, I've always been interested in medicine and I've always had an affinity for people. So
Mm.
it's through my experiences with medicine and people that I've unfortunately noticed that not every community is treated equally in the field of medicine and when receiving healthcare. So ever since I noticed this, it's motivated me to start my own organization called Pulse for Equity, and I've been striving to bridge this gap ever since.
Okay. So how did you first come across this issue in your community, right? And what got you thinking that, oh, I have to do something about it?
Yeah, so actually, my own family has a history of heart health issues and breast cancer. So I've always been passionate about improving access to quality healthcare through my own family. But it wasn't until about 3 years ago that I saw this with my own eyes in the American healthcare system. So the summer after my freshman year, I was working at Howard University Hospital in the phlebotomy lab as a lab clerk. And if you don't know, Howard University is a HBCU, so it's a historically Black college university, and it serves a predominantly Black and lower income community in Washington, D.C. So it was through here that I first was exposed to the different biases in healthcare and people who are victims of medical neglect. Additionally, this past year, I've had the privilege of doing breast cancer research at Johns Hopkins Medicine. And it was here that I noticed that that different communities don't really have access to clinical trials. And of course, clinical trials are how medicine innovates. And the fact that people do not have opportunities to join clinical trials and have access to cutting edge healthcare, it was really heartbreaking to see that there was a significant lack of resources for patients available.
Okay. And how did it come across? So how how did you find out, what were there any mentors you had or any other people in these hospitals and networks that you collaborated with?
Yeah, so when I first started my job at Howard University Hospital, my mentor, his name was Samson at the phlebotomy department, and he's the one who first exposed me and brought the issue to my attention about medical neglect and the different biases that are started in healthcare. Additionally, I reached out to a postdoc fellow at Georgetown University named Katerina Abushan, and she's actually an applied social psychologist who studies healthcare bias. And she's also published different papers and research about um, such biases, and I've had the opportunity to have discussions with different experts in the field about this. So through these different experiences and collaborations, I've also had a better understanding of healthcare inequity and how to better bridge it.
Okay, okay. So, so you have some experience. You're a high school senior now, correct?
Yes, that is true.
Okay, so and you've been doing this for how long? Like 2, 3 years now?
So my organization itself, it's only a few months old, but I have been speaking to experts and working in this field for, I want to say it's been a little over 3 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
So in this period, what would you say are some of the biggest disparities in the healthcare system?
Mm-hmm. So that's honestly a pretty loaded question. I don't think that there's any singular or even a few groups that are particularly impacted the worst. But I think statistically, what I've noticed that there's a huge racial disparity against Black people, against women, and against geriatric patients, which are, like the older age groups. For example, Black women have the highest maternal death rate in the developed world, and additionally, they're also the same group that is victim to the highest percentage of medical neglect. Additionally, Jerry, another thing I wanted to add is that a lot of people don't really think about age-based discrimination. A lot of geriatric patients are not taken seriously, especially when it comes to pain management, because a lot of people might be quick to dismiss an old person and say, oh, like you're in pain, but you're just old. Like that's just what happens with age. And that's not necessarily true. Of course, your body changes with age, but people's pain should still be taken seriously no matter what age they are. So I think, to keep a long story short, I think there are multiple groups, and I think almost any group can has a bias against them, and it's our mission to address healthcare inequity in the broadest way possible to create intersectional equality.
Brilliant. So you've mentioned a couple of different issues, right? So and groups. So what are the steps you have taken in? I know it's just been a few months, but have you taken any steps to bridge those gaps?
Yeah, so recently in my research appointment at Johns Hopkins Medicine, we've been creating different accrual materials for our clinical trials. So accrual is a process of getting patients or like participants to join our clinical trials. And so what we've been doing is that we've been creating print materials for older age groups that aren't as tech savvy. So, especially in my field that I've been researching, breast cancer, a lot of the patients are older and they don't have as much exposure to technology. So sometimes the best solutions don't always involve something new. Sometimes it's important to take a step back, like for example, by just printing a flyer or brochure. And additionally, healthcare equity starts with healthcare access. So what we've been doing in the field of research specifically is that we've created a clinical website for our upcoming clinical trial to reach more viewers. So hopefully with these different accrual materials and methods, and additionally we've been creating more patient education materials. So what we've been trying to do is that we've been trying to empower patients to make choices for themselves. And I think this is where equity starts.
Wow. So you've taken it upon yourself to start creating some innovative solutions. Is that right?
Yeah, so another example at my institution is that we've been creating video consents. So when it's time for a patient to join a clinical trial, the process is often lengthy and it involves reading like a 20-page document and having to sit through the process with a clinical research coordinator reading all the benefits and risks to a procedure. And what we've noticed is that this isn't always best for the mental health of the patient. So what we've been doing is that we've been creating these videos instead of a paper consent. And patients will have the option to ask a clinical research coordinator questions after they finished watching the video. Of course, a video is nothing new. Like we've had videos for a long time, obviously. But in fact, a video consent will be the first ever at Johns Hopkins University. So we are very excited about that.
Terrific. So I'm sure you're taking inputs from your mentors and parents and family, and you've got some research experience. So apart from all of that, how have you been continuing your learning about healthcare inequity? What are other sources you're getting information from?
Yeah, so recently I've been conducting interviews for my own organization, pulseforequity.com. And what I've been doing is that I've been reaching out to different professionals. So, like I mentioned earlier, the first episode of my series is with the applied social psychologist, where we talked about healthcare inequity, community involvement, engagement. And hopefully, by posting these, people can continue to learn what I'm learning. And that's honestly the goal. So, hopefully, when more people become educated about this topic, we'll be able to better spread awareness and eventually come up with more solutions.
Okay. And are you doing any on the ground kind of work to engage your community in this cause?
Yeah, so recently, in this past year, we've been hosting different webinars with, we've had a lot of participants, and we've been talking about pressing issues in our communities. So, with public health initiatives, things like heart health and mental health that aren't always necessarily talked about, but still are pressing issues in our communities. Additionally, I've raised over $1,000 for the Angioma Alliance to better fund public health initiatives and research in cavernous malformations, which is a condition in the brain. And additionally, we've also donated over 90 pounds of food to hunger relief organizations. And I feel like that's also something that a lot of people tend to gloss over. Nutrition is also healthcare. And hopefully, with different initiatives like this, we hope to continue engaging our community in this cause. And hopefully, we will be reaching towards a better tomorrow in the field of healthcare.
Beautiful. So, what do you think teens and young people can do, or what role they can play in pushing for more equitable healthcare from your perspective?
Yeah, so so there's actually a lot that people can do. So my first thing that I would say a lot of teenagers and honestly anyone can do is that the number one thing they should do is get educated. So that can include reading articles, watching videos, or maybe something like doing what I did and reaching out to professionals to learn more. Additionally, they can also engage in their community, such as through charity drives, through different community health initiatives. You can talk to your own local leaders, such as your local government or community leaders, religious leaders, to specifically talk about healthcare in your community, pressing health issues in your community. And I would also say get involved in public service. It's not only to serve your community, but it's also to gain exposure. So, like for example, like I said earlier, my first exposure was when I was a volunteer lab clerk at a hospital, and I think that if like through that experience, that's how I started my whole goal. And I feel like a lot of people can have different opportunities such as this to also become to also take initiative into their own hands. So, in summary, there is a lot you can do, but I would say get educated, get involved, and talk to your community about what you can do best for your people.
Beautiful. So, finally, is there any upcoming projects you're working on? Anything that in the short term, near term, long term?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I've been creating a series of expert interviews with people in their field. So it's called Expert Exchanges, and it's on my website. We're posting it in blogs. So we are currently interviewing more people. Yeah, pulseforequity.com, that's correct. So it's called Expert Exchanges, and we're going to keep interviewing more people and post about their specific experiences in their field. And through this, people can learn more about community involvement, healthcare, research, and all of that. Additionally, we'll also be hosting more webinars to talk about more public health issues in our community. And finally, we hope to keep engaging our community through food drives and charity donations. So I think that's it for now. And hopefully in the future, we'll keep coming up with more things to continue engaging our community and building exposure towards this topic.
Terrific, Akshat. Good luck and continue doing the good work. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much for coming on Southern Spice, and keep up the good work.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. So that was Akshat Krishna from doing so much work in the healthcare inequity space. Please do share this widely, and follow him on pulseforequity.com. On that note, I take leave. I'll come back to you again with another episode of Southern Spice pretty soon. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Bye bye.